All righty. In Lakesh and Veritas, everybody. We are going to get started in just a couple moments. Welcome to High Frequency Living. We're going to make sure that we have good audio. We're going to make sure that our camera is how it needs to be. So as you come in, if you would, just let us know if you can hear us with a thumbs up in the chat. We're going to turn the camera off real quick to adjust it, and we'll get started. Let's see, this is what it looks like.
That's good.
No, it's not sideways. You see? Right. Yeah. We're going to get started in just a moment. I'll be right back on camera, everybody. Hang tight. So I might do this way a little bit. All righty. All right, here we go. Okay, how are you? Thumbs up, Stacy, Lakesh, Veritas. So I'm getting thumbs up that we can be heard. You heard us talking in the back while the camera was off. We are gonna continue to switch it up and keep things spicy. So we're trying different environments, locations. We're out having some tea right now. We got some real mama, got some hot tea. Got my drink, whatever this is in here. All righty. Well, let's go ahead and get ready to get started. So before we get any of our conversation rolling, as always, we're going to start by saying that High Frequency Living, this conversation, this thread of conversations that we will continue to do every Saturday at 7 p.m. is sponsored and brought to you by In Lakesh Studio One. In Lakesh Studio One specializes in quantum light property clearing, divine feminine meditations, products, and other services in the divine feminine field. In Lakesh Studio One also is known very passionately for dealing with the Call for the Truth cards. Call for the Truth cards they are a divination card inspired by Lauta of the Sun and created by Of the Sun. And In Lakesh Studio One does card pools. You can do a 1 card, a 3 card, or 9 card pool. And in that card pool that you have with In Lakesh Studio One, not only will you receive the readings from what the cards have shown you, but you'll also get accompanying tea and other medicinal recommendations that will accompany the card reading that you receive so that you can move forward in actualizing the information that you got and be supported in your journey. In Lakesh Studio One will also credit you anything you put towards your card readings to a quantum light property clearing. So if you're interested, you can visit InLakeshStudio1.com, which is in the description of this video already. And you're also welcome to inquire, reach out, whether it be through the chat or via email to us at Contact Of The Sun or us on social media. We are Of The Sun. If you're interested in anything or have any questions or would like to make contact, we will happily bridge that gap for you. We are very grateful for In Lakesh Studio One as always, and you will continue to hear us speaking about them. In Lakesh Studio.
In Lakesh and Veritas to everyone with honor, respect, and gratitude. May we all have honor, respect, and gratitude.
So this is a thread of conversations that we've kind of transitioned over the last few weeks, speaking from some physical health and wellness. We spoke about some of the history of my mom and some of the things that she went through and worked through her body, through the health, through the mental causations. We even transitioned into some family oriented conversation 2 weeks ago where we spoke about the children and how navigating raising our children while raising ourselves, while becoming aware of who we want to be, what we stand for, what we're about, and on being on that journey and all of our lumps and bruises that we take along the way, and how to allow our children to benefit from it, but not be damaged by our journeys. So we've had those lanes of conversations up to now. And now, just like those prior conversations that are topics that I think that we all can relate to, I'd like us to speak about if there is the science to picking partners. Now, I say if there is because I'm not sure that I think that there is an actual science to it. However, I do know that there is a overarching mindset or overarching principles that we can apply not just to one subject like picking a partner, but there's certain life principles that we can apply that I'm sure if we are aware of them will serve us greatly when it comes to us picking our partners and even identifying if we're in the right time frame for doing that, and also if what we are attracted to or if what we are attracting is how much of that is on us to clean up or to make right before we pick our next partner. So if we experience a pattern of picking partners that equal the same in results, is it us? Is it something about what I'm interested in? Is it something about what I'm attracted to, what I'm attracting that's causing for me to find these same characteristics and partners? And if so, how do we approach that and look at that? So off the rip, do you have any like foundational thoughts about the concept of picking a partner or certain things that you say, or at least start here?
Yes, I have a few things, but it starts a little ahead of that. I'd like everybody to know we are all someone's children, and we all consider ourselves adults at the legal age of 18, but we're not really grown. We don't really grow till we're about 50. And so there's room for you to forgive yourself. There's room for you to be patient with yourself. There's room for you to understand that you may have to do a few things to see the pattern. The pattern may be from this lifetime, it may be from your parents, it may be from something you heard as a child that makes you think you should be a certain way. And then there's the very clear identity of the egregore, the morphic field of the woman, and there's an egregore, the morphic field of a man, and how it acts out in our culture and how every single thing we do has influenced that. Women that feel a certain way about who they are and how that operates, and men do the same, and they keep showing you who they are over and over again. So if a person is resistant and dominant, then they may keep showing that, and they may have learned that not so much in childhood, but in the earthly experience. And so if we give ourselves, if we're gentle with ourselves and strive to be correct, if you go to bed at night calling for correction and wake up seeing if you're better, it helps you with your development and your cultivation. If we do this right, we'll live a very long time, and 50 will seem like we're just
getting started.
Yeah. It really just gets good at about 50 because you see things and you already know what it is. You don't really have to taste every donut to know what a donut tastes like. So
let me tell you this from conversations that I've had with a lot of people who are actively, let's say, in some range between curious and pursuing relationships. I typically am only speaking to the people or engaging really heavily with conversation with people who are to some degree or another on the path to becoming more aware and conscious of our own selves, our own growth, our, what imprint and impact we are having on our lives, and just typically striving to be a good version of themselves. So from what I've heard is that, and I also have experienced, is that the more the more aware you start to become of things, the more truth you have to face. And the more things become kind of a little distasteful for you in the regular experience of the world. So it feels like if I'm becoming greater, I should have more options. I should be able to get more of what I want. But for some reason, it actually feels like the pool gets smaller for you. What's that about?
So that's a very interesting way to perceive it, but the reality is that pretty much everybody has been cultivated in the same way, although they have their own path, so to say. And when we are social in general, but not everyone is to the same degree of being social. Many people are fine in a solitary state, and there's no problem in that. But mostly we are social and we're looking to join on to those who are resonating at the same frequency. However, many of us have developed habits that are not magnetizing us to another, but repelling people from us, or repelling people out of our lives, and we're unaware of what the thing is that makes it so uncomfortable, or makes it so we can't find anyone. Emotional mastery is something that we shall be working on, so that everything a person does is not a trigger. Like, the more emotional you are, the more if somebody's talking to you and it turns into a discussion that's not pleasant and doesn't end in laughter, that usually means that whoever is being triggered has not disciplined themselves emotionally yet. So the work for finding a partner begins with knowing who you are. The work with finding a partner begins with being gentle with yourself. It begins with knowing you're not finished yet, and know you don't know everything yet, and that everything that triggers you doesn't mean it's somebody else's fault. It means that you're the one who's triggered. So it's your issue. So these are broad strokes. I would encourage everyone to work on being correct within themselves, to themselves, being gentle and being generous with themselves. Think of yourself in generous ways, like, I'm really a lovely person. I really have much to give. I'm really wanting to share what I have with others, and then that opens the door to someone with receptive energy.
Mm-hmm.
But we are often taught to look at something like we're in the bakery and we're looking at the cakes and we want the prettiest cake, and we don't care if it'll kill us or not. So that's really not the way to do this.
So it seems like the sound is a little low. Let's see if can I get some action in the chat on a sound check? Can I be heard okay? I'm gonna do a 10 count. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me know if I can be heard okay. And then I know yours is a little low. I'd like to identify why that is.
Well, that would not get heard.
It's a little low. I think you're in a good spot there. Okay, Kate says she can hear me. Stacy says she can hear me. Okay, can we get a 10 count from you?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right, I heard you, but I have a unique perspective on that. So funny. All righty. Okay. Let's see. We're gonna continue this one. We can hear my ultimate. Okay, cool. All right, we'll just keep it rolling.
Alright, so there's some other things that are extremely important. I'd like for everyone to take, we're gonna go back in history, so everyone take a moment and remember what it was like when you were a little child and you went outside and you played with other children and they looked bright and shiny and they wanted to have fun and you wanted to have fun and you would find something that you could agree on. Oh, we're gonna play ball. I'll throw you the ball and you'll throw it back to me. And then I'll drop it and then you'll laugh and then I'll pick it up and throw it again. Remember what that felt like? The innocence of the interaction, the social interaction. Little boys, little girls, the social interaction that made us feel like we needed to giggle and laugh and run and be happy together. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for.
I can feel that.
Yeah,
I can
somebody
feel
who will play with you. Somebody you can throw the ball to and they're not gonna keep it and run away with it.
that. Right.
They're gonna throw it back to you. And then you can throw it again and you can miss and they can laugh and you're not gonna be devastated. You're not gonna die because they laughed because you dropped the ball. It's that kind of energy that is what you're really looking for if you want a long-term relationship. If you have the energy with someone, well, you can't play with my ball unless you play by my rules, then that's what that's gonna be for the
Oh
next.
my God. Okay, so I want to talk on that, but first, you said if you're looking for a long-term relationship, which leads me to believe that you consider that as just being one of the types of relationships.
Yeah.
But even romantically, that it's even a long-term relationship is one option in a romantic relationship.
It's, we should, I would encourage everyone to maybe reframe how you think of what relationships are, not so much with religion, like you get married, you have children, you have to be monogamous, you have to do certain things. I would encourage you to wipe the whiteboard clean and let's start over. Let's look at nature and see how many varieties of relationships are there. So we know that wolves mate for life. Very few other things do.
Mm.
Lions and tigers barely meet at their greatest pearl for just a moment and exchange egg and seed, and then they're kind of on their own. And so there are many ways. Sometimes other birds have helpers, sometimes they don't.
Mhm.
And so everything is not the way, the limited way in which we see things makes us disgruntled and unhappy because we have decided there can only be one way.
Yeah.
It can only be monogamy, it can only be marriage, it can only be, otherwise it's something not to be desired. But I've lived all over the world in enough places to know that many people exist under many different arrangements. And quite happily because they don't only serve them, they serve their greater community.
So what you just made me think of is kind of going back to when you was like, well, if you're gonna play, you gotta play by my rules and do this and that, and a lot of that drains the buoyancy out of an experience. It drains the lightness out of an experience. So what I just thought about was that about the length or the expectation of terms as far as long term or not. That what I pictured was you find that person. First of all, how hard it is to find that person that you can have that energetic exchange with, and it be feeding both, and it be enjoyable to whatever degree enjoyable is for you, and it be uplifting in whatever way uplifting looks like, and all this kind of that childlike experience. So it's hard enough to find that. Then I'm imagining, okay, you find that, and you're getting it, and it's very enjoyable. And then 90 days in, you're like, hold on, we might have to stop this because can you commit that you'll do this every day with me for 20 years? If not, I think we're gonna have to let this fun go. We're gonna have to let this exchange go. This energetic exchange. Now, out of a lot, my thoughts is that that's not how it really works. That to me personally, just as from like I guess I'll call it realness or experience or whatever, is that when you're having that true exchange that's feeding and uplifting both and all that, you're not going and just sabotaging it because of your projection into the future. When it's a legitimate, true connection of upliftment, mentally, spiritually, energetically. Now, when a couple of those areas are satisfied, but not majority, then it's a lot easier to start to say, well, this is lacking, so let me put up some restrictions. If I'm going to put up with this, then I need to be getting this or missing. You get what I'm saying? But again, in reality, how I see it is that we very rarely are creating these obstacles for our own happiness when we're already experiencing the happiness. I think that a lot of times we're attracted to things and people that are part of what we like. And because they're not the full thing, then we think I'm okay with accepting this or settling for this as long as I get this on the other. As long as I get commitment for life and a ring, you get what I'm saying? Or as long as I get, whatever the different levels of commitments. Or as long as you have my child, then I'm willing to do this, that, and the third, and those kind of things. So that's what my thoughts are. Is that something you think you have?
Well, I think the point you make many points I'd like to speak to, but what is the person's North Star? What is the end game? Is the end game that I will enjoy you as long as we enjoy each other and not one day moment, not one moment longer. I will enjoy you until I don't enjoy you. And then I won't enjoy you anymore because I'm going to go on and enjoy something else.
You're talking real controversial stuff here. You're telling me happily ever after, we're not bound to be handcuffed together forever, period, the end?
And if you like prison, I mean, the idea,
y'all like prison? Anybody like prison? Put it in the chat.
the idea that we are all free. Nobody owes us anything. Nobody owes you anything. I say this all the time. Nobody believes me.
Yeah, because it's tough. I'm hearing you. Like, I hear what you're saying. However, for all of the people of us who are in love or who are in whatever, infatuated or in like or in lust or whatever it is, the idea of, it's so romantic to think this is soulmate, this should be this or this should be that, and it's not right if it's not. I feel like that's a major hurdle for us to just accept, or a major pill to swallow, that's all fantasy.
Well, I can prove it to you.
Yeah, talk to me.
Yeah, so it is true that any of us who have children are in great service to our children for many, 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 many years. They owe us nothing. It's very clear in that circumstance.
And that's a deeper, a more realer,
That's you.
Connection.
You have a baby. You made those organs. You're a woman. You made those organs with your own body. That is you. But they owe you nothing because you decided to do that.
So the person who comes into your life when you're 36 doesn't.
The idea is you make yourself valuable. You inspire value.
Mm-hmm.
You have to inspire value every day.
Yes, that's the point right there. The daily, it needs to be a daily decision. Yep, I want to hang out with you. Yep, I want to go to bed with you tonight. Yeah.
I have learned that people don't stay together when they don't get what they want. They drift off. They go into some hobby. They go into finding another person. They go to work and never really come home. They drift when they don't get what they want. It is incumbent upon everyone. You can't just be, because just being leads to disintegration. The things that are just, they eventually crumble. But you can be inspired to be funny and interesting and beautiful because it's not about the biology so much as it's about how you inspire the biology. So if you are inspired to be with a person every day because there's something there and they are in consideration of you, they consider you in their plans, they consider you in their lives, they consider you, you are included. That is something that most people don't have. You don't always get included at work.
Yeah.
You don't always get included when the bus pulls off. They didn't include you. You know, they forgot to open the door for you. But in your private and personal experience, you are looking for inclusion, but what the responsibility you have is to be inspiring. You have to inspire. Be lovable. Be lovable. Don't be.
One at you all, four back at me. I get it. I know. I'm getting the message. Well, I got 3 pointing back at me, but one's pointing at y'all.
It is incumbent that we don't be grumpy and argumentative and difficult and unyielding and have to have our own way in every situation, because that leaves no room for the person to have life with you. If I have to do everything you say, where am I in that equation? If everything is based on your filter, like you eat a certain way, you think a certain way, you feel a certain way, and all of that, and now I have to put on that uniform and march to that tune. That doesn't feel like fun. That doesn't feel like when we were children and I tossed you the ball and you tossed it back to me and we laughed and it was so much fun. That doesn't feel like that.
Okay, so I have a bunch of places I want to go with this. However, it did just make me think. So what's the difference between and I'm speaking in the sense of a romantic relationship. What's the difference between a plan and an agreement between two people and a marriage contract or a contract that insinuates breaking it is damnable?
In a world where we have not been, we have never been shown people who keep their word. And this is very important to me because of the way I live my own life. But when we see that people can't keep their word not to eat what's in the refrigerator until tomorrow, they can't keep their word not to look at porn, they can't keep their word not to drink alcohol, they can't keep their word to stop getting high. How is it that we expect them to keep their word about anything else?
A contract, right? Yeah.
However, I am very in favor of contracts with everyone, mother and child, partners, married or otherwise, people in living situations in a similar place. Parameters are important because then you have spelled out what you can spell out, and then it should be an open contract where you can add on other things. Like, I know I didn't say I don't want to pick up your underwear off the bathroom floor, but now it's in the contract. You pick up your own underwear and I don't want to see it. You know, whatever it is that's the pain point in the relationship, whatever that happens to be. You know, I remember I had a client once who was she was a ophthalmologist and her husband was an optometrist. No, he was the doctor and she was the optometrist. And they were married, they had 3 children, and they were at a deal-breaking point because he wouldn't brush his teeth. Ever. Because when he was being raised, he wasn't raised in a way where that was a consistent thing, and so he never did it. So
Oh my God. You finished first, man.
So they should have had a contract that said if you want to stay married, this is required.
You're saying once she was aware of this being a concern, you're not saying like randomly when you meet a person and you gotta spell every single, but you're saying once, like you said, pain point. Once you realize something you cannot work with.
Yeah, she was
it needs to be addressed.
They were married, they were in a marriage, traditional marriage, they had children, and this was something ongoing, but when she came to me, it was, by the time she came for counseling, it had gone on for a long time, and I could clearly see why it happened, and I could see the comfortability that they had lived with it. And I could see that it would be completely new training, but it was possible if they had a contract that said, if you can shift this behavior, I can see being married to you. If you can't shift this behavior, I cannot see being married to you anymore.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and so that's what it came down to.
So,
That's actually what it came down to.
oh man, this is making me. So first, I want to say about most of those kind of stories that we hear. Some are horror stories, which to me seems like that would be a horror story. However, I'll always take a perspective of like you're not a victim. So, when people, although I know in what I call what my mom does is energetic counseling, but in those sessions, the person is communicating. So I don't know to what degree they are complaining versus communicating, to what degree they are, whatever other variations of communicating about their issues they're doing. But the first red flag to me is like multiple children, years of marriage.
Yes.
Like at this point you're choosing this
Yes.
day to day to day to day, which leaves very little room for me to feel like whether it's you, who maybe the person in the conversation with me, or any of their friends or whoever has any place to put a cape on to try to save them or try to get them out of their mess because they're literally choosing it. But then it made me segue over to a very common thread of conversation, especially for the age range, the men, the culture about men cheating on women, and there's two sides of the conversation, and there's a longer, deeper conversation, which I hope one day we can have a conversation solely about the men and the masculine and the distortion of masculinity that we have nowadays. And I mean, you touched on little things about the porn and all the other things that kind of just throw off chasing money and all the things that throw off who we are. But on the side of when I hear it, it comes across to me like person kept cheating on me, or they had to. Why? I always say this, and the girls I've talked to, I say this to, who I'm like cool with, oftentimes feel like I'm being like a kind of an a-hole, which is possible. But I think that if you tell me the reason why your relationship ended was because the person cheated on you, in my mind, it's hard for me to imagine this was such a just peachy, perfect relationship. You were living the perfect, happy life, and then one day out of the blue, this person did this, and now the relationship is just over. To me, it's more like there's plenty of distasteful things or unwanted things that would have warranted the relationship being over. And because none of those things, the person moved on it, when finally they came across something that was egregious enough that they were willing to move out on, now they moved out on that. But to me, that's just because they weren't in a relationship with the person this was in a relationship with, not that the cheating is why the relationship ended. Does that make sense at all?
It makes sense. That's your opinion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's my view of that. So where I'm looking at it is all of the different daily choices. So again, like going back to the with the teeth brushing situation, how much of a rope do you give before you stop choosing something that's distasteful to you before it's so egregious that you're now, three children and multiple years of marriage, and you're like, I can't stand it no more. So that's what I want to know is how much do you put up with until you don't put up with something?
So this is where the maturity of understanding that you're still a baby. You didn't know. You didn't know that you were going to grow out of being accommodating.
Mm.
You didn't know that the behavior, whatever the behavior is, that you may have been like, it didn't seem like such a big deal the first year. You know, this idea that we have to be gentle with ourselves. We are not the same when we're 20, when we're 40.
Right.
You know, what is okay for us at 30 may not be okay for us at 40. And the behavior may shift too. It may shift from, it's not so much about another person. The cheating is emotional. And it's not, what people are upset about often is that they no longer feel considered and safe and in the number one place in the person's life. Like, it's more often like that. Everybody is not the same, and some people just don't tolerate that, and some people kind of know what's going on, and you know, actively search for proof for years.
Yeah.
They're like, follow the breadcrumbs through the park, and they got the spy glasses and all of that. But the reality is, if you have lost the person's attention, you know it.
Yeah.
You know when you've lost their attention. That's where the problem is. It's not about where they put any of their body parts.
Yeah.
It's about what happened between the two of you. And people don't keep it between the two of you. They use other people as excuses and as justification for them to go and have similar behavior. So then they turn the person that they think is misbehaving into their teacher. And now you taught me how to do this. I'm gonna go show you. I learned how to do what you do. When in point of fact, have we inspired the person to stay in a relationship with us?
That's a level of responsibility or accountability I don't know if I'm ready for.
But I will share with you how that works. It's not so complicated. You laugh with someone, they admire you, they tell you the truth. It's not hard to stay engaged.
Yeah.
It's hard to stay engaged with someone who drifts off because you haven't laughed in 6 months.
And disclaimer, I do know and recognize there's a whole lane of people, and I'm just use men because we're the people who are serially known for this, who are just because of their own issues are doing what they're doing. Or addicted to doing what they're doing. So this conversation is not a one size fits all that every single man who looks at us because his attention's not being held but why are we end up with that person is a whole nother lane of conversation.
And it's also like, what is your North Star? What are you looking for? Are you looking for having a wonderful experience with someone with no time limit? Or are you committed to having to have a house, a picket fence, and children and grandchildren? That's a very different thing than I'm playing with the person with the ball. We play until the streetlights come on. Then we go in the house. And then they move away, School goes on, everything goes on. What is the North Star? What is it that if you're requiring a pint of blood and a lifetime commitment from someone who's not even an adult yet, you're likely to be denied what you're looking for because people haven't even grown up. And then we don't have the support of, our world is not such that it supports the free thinking that I can care about someone and I have in my mind that they have to come and rescue me and be on a white charger, and they have to be Prince Charming. They have to pay all my bills. They have to take care of me forever. And
she said it.
So then there's somebody not brushing their teeth. The rent's paid. They got food. They overlook it until their business starts to do well, and they're like, okay, I can put up with this now.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't even think about that part of it. But.
So it's like, where is your North Star? Are you looking to have the best experience you can have with those who resonate best with you? Are the people you're interested in what you're interested in? Do they want to talk to you about, or do they like, oh, don't talk to me about what you do because it's not interesting to me? Like, if all they want to talk about is football and you don't like football, maybe then maybe a no-go.
Yeah.
Because you have the rest of your life of that's what they're interested in, you're not. Why not find people who are interested about what you are interested about at some level? Someone who's willing to stay in the room for more than 5 minutes and listen. They're like, no, she's just talking, I'm leaving. That's not longevity. You know, and are you willing to move closer to the thing the person's interested in? Are you willing to be flexible? Are you willing to move yourself into a space where you're not so calcified and petrified, so turned into stone that you could see what they see? And then that might make you have another ball to play with each other with.
Yeah, it can bring you closer and more together and strengthen the bond.
Yes, but if you don't know, if it just sounds boring to you because you don't know anything and you don't want to know, then that is such a turn off that then the person's like, but that guy at work, he likes to talk about what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we laugh so much at lunch, he and I had such a good time.
Just pop one of y'all for doing that. Whoever that is, whoever that applies to. But so that's from the perspective of already being in something. I think that a lot of us are curious for the ones who are looking to still attract and to looking to attract and sustain, and we're in a world but not of it to whatever degree, in different degrees. So I think that's just a major kind of hurdle in general, is that, well, the lane of the things I'm interested in, the pool of people who I come across and encounter are not as interested in those things. They can't feed me or reach these kind of things. I hear that a lot from, especially a lot of women, about true. Even that, I'm wondering, okay, so what do you advise for them? Before you answer that, I want to share with you all that, and we've been discussing as well. Do you think that, anybody can respond in the chat or whatever, could you imagine, so you heard my mom speaking about the appointments that she does, the counseling, I'll call it energetic therapy or counseling. Could you imagine if we could share in and see some of these case studies? I feel like this will be to hear some real life engagement. So if anybody wants to ever be a case study and you're interested in being a part of it, you'll be transparent and truthful as if you're in a one-on-one, and others can learn from your real experiences. I'd recommend reach out to us, whether it be via email, in the chat, put your thumbs up, we'll know who it is. Because I think that would be really, really beneficial for a lot of us to learn from a lot of real experiences that we will be able to see ourselves in, and I think it would be kind of entertaining. So y'all tell me what you think about that. But anyway, yes.
So to speak to this idea of people being in relationships and not finding, or wanting to be in relationships and not being able to find other people, this is a worldwide problem. I have people all over the world saying they've looked on dating apps in Rome, they've looked on dating apps in New York, they've looked on dating apps in all these different foreign places, and they can't find. What they find is predatory or really more like a sex
real
act.
Tainted, yeah, it's real tainted.
It's very tainted, and what I have found, and what I often recommend, and not everyone can see their way to do it because of whatever their lifestyle is be in your life, be a doer in your life, be active in your life doing what you do. You like flowers? Go to conferences where people talk about flowers.
Yeah.
You like painting t-shirts? Go to t-shirt conferences. Put yourself in the place online or physically where someone has an interest in, or a tangential interest. Like maybe art as a general field.
Well, this made me just think of, sorry for put your business out there right now, But you just they go. This is why. That's why Tavares got so many women on him because he's so active and about what he's about, and it's a in that field, it's a lot of women. So Tavares is fighting them off with a stick.
Oh my goodness.
But he's active about what he's about, and you're never gonna think. No one's ever going to be tricked or surprised by what he is, and there's plenty of people who admire and love that and will see the God in you for that. Like,
absolutely, with him though.
Shout out to Tavares fighting them off.
Because they only see him alone, they think he's alone, and that's not.
Right.
They're not the only one who sees him. So that's true, but it is be about. I have a client who does archery. And I have clients who do other things like belly dancing. And the reason I'm saying this is that the thing they're interested in has beauty in and of itself.
Oh my God, yeah.
It has the beauty and the strength of whatever it is, be about something. And then those who are tangential, even if that's not what they do, they're tangential to that.
Yeah.
You will attract, because often what you're doing is beautiful enough to get your attention, it's beautiful enough to get someone else's. And it is a better pull than the visual cortex of looking at a person's face is not enough.
Yeah.
That doesn't hold you for years.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do it. Especially in the face of the world we're living in. So I'm encouraging people to move in whatever it is you like, go deep. Go deep and go wide, and don't let anybody pull you out of it. Don't let somebody say, no, that's not good, you shouldn't do that. Like, say, that's good for you, you don't do it. I'll just stay here and keep doing the thing that inspires and makes me feel good, that I feel good about. I'm gonna keep doing just that. And then if I do that one thing, the beauty and the satisfaction will reverberate from me, and then I will look different than all the other humans who are suffering and having pain points because I'm busy painting or drawing or sewing or making
Nothing
something.
looks better than a person who is being them and in their flow and really, really
Whatever it is.
feeding and being fed back from what they're doing. So it's funny, you express this in a way more clear, big picture way, but on a very regular level, surface level. I used to have these conversations with my little brother, your son, and other guys who are in the same age range, and I would say it doesn't matter what you're into. If you're a guy who likes gaming, if you're, like you said, someone who likes archery, if you're someone, but I've seen this for myself, even the people, when you go into a bowling alley and you're in a bowling league,
Yes.
the best bowlers, the guys who's invested the most in it, they look the coolest.
Yes.
And that's the ones that people want because they're the best dorks there. They're the best bowlers there. And they love it and they become great at it. And there's something to seeing a person not just be good at something, but have invested and put in what it takes, and then
Yes.
reap the rewards that come from it. All of that makes you an attractive whole being. And
Yes.
you can have whatever level of what you want, just be great at yourself.
And it can be roller skating, it can be
Yeah.
bowling, it could be playing chess, but you don't want to be the person married to a chess player who hates chess.
That's interesting.
You don't want to be the person who's that's the hater in the relationship. Like, I hate golf, and all he wants to do is play golf. That is not inspiring.
Right.
So find the thing first, find your own inspiration, because you are part of this equation. Your expectation in the equation is that you will be something inspiring as well. So it doesn't have to be, it can be whatever thing it is that it needs to be.
Okay, so on that note, I'm gonna follow up number one by saying, if there's anybody who wants to speak about their specific journey or story on this subject about looking for partners, or not even looking for partners, but being, available. And what all comes with that journey? If you're interested, reach out, like I said, like DM on the High Frequency Living page or the We Are of the Sun page. We'd like to kind of have that conversation because I think it'd be a very interesting thing for us to have a discussion and explore someone's journeys and some of the things they're experiencing along the way. So we will continue this thread of conversation next week. Before we go, I have one exciting idea that we're going to bring forward to you all. And then we also are going to again thank In Lakesh Studio One for their support and all of the diligent work and support, and in tandem with Of the Sun to bring forth the Call for the Truth cards that were created and inspired by Ms. Melton, who is my mom, and the Quantum Light Property Clearing, which is a original, unique technique to clearing properties. The Divine Feminine meditations, the Divine Feminine products that are available. There's free services put on by In Lakesh Studio One. If you visit InLakeshStudio1.com, you can sign up for any of the free services. There's book clubs, there's group sessions. You can do a card reading, you can do a 1 card, 3 card, or 6 card spread. You can sign up for a Quantum Light Property Clearing. Any of the things that are available on that website, we co-sign, we stamp. In Lakesh Studio One is an ally, as you say.
Yes.
So thank you, In Lakesh Studio One. Also, from today through the rest of this month, we are going to start a gathering of participants for a giveaway. So next month, Of the Sun will be doing 2 classes that are what we call prerequisite classes for our Quantum Light Property Clearing. So this is to teach students how to actually use the Of the Sun method for clearing properties energetically, clearing spaces and places. And this work can be done. It can translate into your own personal offerings. It can also be done in your work and service to humanity. So clearing neighborhoods. You'll eventually be able to evolve and work towards clearing schools, clearing buildings, things and places where you care for and want to be a part of healing and protecting the people in your community. So that's a class coming up. But we have 2 prerequisite classes that we will be putting on next month. One's called DNA Activation and one is called One Mind Connection. Of the Sun puts on these classes monthly. We put on different prerequisite classes. We're going to give one away. So we're going to have a scholarship that we're going to give away to somebody who is a High Frequency Living supporter. So each High Frequency Living episode, from now to the end of the month, I'm going to make an announcement. We're going to know it's from a person who has watched this video. We're going to have you go to the Of the Sun website, ofthesun.com, and we're going to have anybody who enters in the scholarship fund at least one submission of $25, and you put the note High Frequency Living as the note, you'll be entered to win the scholarship to be a part of the One Mind Connection or DNA Activation class that will be upcoming at the beginning of next month. So we're gonna keep that going we have about 2 more episodes of High Frequency Living for the rest of this month. And in the last episode of the month, we will announce the winner, and that winner will be given a scholarship to that class. You can visit the website weareofthesun.com or our Instagram weareofthesun if you have any questions. You can check out what the classes are, the descriptions, and more information on the other classes that we make available as well. And any questions, feel free. We have plenty of ways to be reached, and I'm happy to answer any questions and to give anybody even a one-on-one consult. If you like a quick 20 to 30 minutes to find out more perspective on how Of the Sun works and how you can work with us, I'd be happy to facilitate that as well. Did you have any final remarks before we wrap up?
Yeah. I heard that as you were wrapping up, you were saying that In Lakesh Studio One is our ally.
Mm-hmm.
We should make sure that our lovers are our allies. We should make sure, and if we're looking in a relationship, that if we had to go to war, which we will, if we had to run for our lives, which we may have to, if we had to fight for a new world, that the person is our ally, not our enemy.
The person sleeping next to you at night
Yeah.
is your ally, not your enemy. That's
Yes.
boom. That's gonna be one of those clips that we clip right there.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That's very, very important, and all the things that we're staying for or compromising for don't matter. In the end, what matters is the person with you. Can you count on them? Do they have your back? Are you together in your quest? That's what matters. It doesn't matter how long, whether it's 6 months or 6 years.
When it hits the fan, they gonna be with you.
Yes.
I like that. I like that. Y'all get ready. All right. So if you have anybody wants to be a part of the discussion and maybe talk about some of their personal experiences, we'll find a way to make that happen. Feel free to reach out to me. I will love to facilitate that. Until next week, we will continue this conversation. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening in the Kesha Veritas.
Thank you. And look at Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude. We'll talk about that at some point too.